Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, the unstoppable, the inexorable Mike C-Roc. And I'm going to continue to bring you inexorable guests, friends of mine that I have in the real world and virtual world and the clubhouse world. And today I have I was telling him before we got started here, he's just infectious with his energy, his vibe. It's just I can't wait to introduce you to Ramon. But before I do that, I want to thank you for your support of the show, the support of my movement, all the things that I get myself into. I'm just really thankful to have you as an audience and as supporters. And so with that being said, I want to introduce you to my friend, Ramon Ray. Ramon is the founder of Smart Hustle Media, and he's an in-demand expert in small business success and personal branding. So audiences around the world have learned the art of starting and growing their businesses through Ramon's fun, informative, and high energy, as I mentioned, presentations. Ramon's the author of 4 books, including Celebrity CEO, all about personal branding. Ramon, welcome to the What Are You Made Of show.
Hey, thanks for having me here, Mike. It's good to be here. Good to see you and see your hat in different scenes. Good to hang with you a lot online and some mutual circles we're in. So thank you for having me. It's good to be here and pour into your community and learn from you at the same time.
Yeah, man. Well, it's an honor to have you. And, I've had a lot of guests, but I really don't think I've had any with the energy that you have. And I keep hammering that because that is important to me. When I have my show and when I go on other people's show, I intend to light it up. And you are probably the one person that could possibly outdo me with that. So thank you for that. And so we have to stick with the tradition here, which is to start every show with the question, what are you made of, Ramon?
It's a good question. I think I'm made of a few things. One, my deep, deep faith. I'd like to think so. Believer in God. And I think 2 is that also I like to have a lot of fun. I don't take myself too seriously, but I take what I do seriously. So fun, I think, is probably the biggest part of me. I laugh a bit, and sometimes I wonder, is it a mask? Is it not? Maybe we'll find out today. I don't know. But I do like to have a lot of fun. You get my vibe a bit. Some people are we're different, right? Thoughtful and, more strategic. Me, I'm like, just go with the flow. Let's just chill. It's all good.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And, let's dig a little deeper. Where'd you come from?
Yeah, born in the Midwest, raised in Brooklyn. Well, my wife says I wasn't raised in Brooklyn because she says she's the real Brooklyn girl since she was born there. I came there as a teen, but I consider myself raised in Brooklyn. So raised in Brooklyn, as I said offline, lived in New Jersey here for many, many years, raised my children here for the most part. So yeah, kind of all over the USA.
Were you in Brooklyn when Biggie was there growing up too? Or
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
Could have been, but that would have been about 20 years ago. Maybe, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. He was, he got hot in the 90s, early 90s.
Yeah, so I was there then. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I wonder because he kept calling me on my rotary phone and I kept saying, not the caller ID show up. Anyway, that was a bad joke. But
he didn't blow up the pager at 5:46 in the morning.
That's what it
on. No, that's great, man. That's great. And so you settled in New Jersey, which is, I love New Jersey. Don't get me wrong, but the taxes are just too high. So I always think about that. We live in Maryland, which they're not as high. And then Delaware is in between us, which property taxes in Delaware are just ridiculous. No sales tax. And so I always wonder, why New Jersey?
Yeah. Well, first if I'm going to answer why New Jersey, I have to first answer why Brooklyn or why New York. So I came to New York and Brooklyn because, at that age, young enough, my parents, wherever your parents go, you go. So my father died many, many years ago, but my parents are full-time ministers, in church. So I moved because of then. And then we moved to New Jersey just because we felt some of the laws and restrictions and things that were happening when we were raising our kids, we just weren't with so much. In New Jersey was kind of the closest thing to Pennsylvania or other places like that. So we just hopped over the bridge and moved to New Jersey, and we could do some things that we wanted to do with our kids in different ways. So that's really the story. I wish it was cooler than that. And I must say, C-Roc, I don't know if we're going to do it, but we'll probably move again because, to your point, what I'm paying now in housing fees and things like that. Listen, the New York area, the Northeast is a great place. It's just for us creators, I can give myself a raise because I'm location agnostic for what I do.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I love that. So growing up in a family of pastors, is that what they were? They were pastors. So what was that like? Because, I didn't have that. My wife actually did. Her grandfather was a Baptist preacher.
Okay.
And she grew up in a strict Baptist home. And I know what that was like for her. And where we are now with the evolution of churches and Christianity, where there's more non-denominational churches or more progressive churches. But what was that like growing up in a household of people that were working in the church.
Sure. I think that growing up, of course, oftentimes you don't know how you're growing up unless there's some severe jacked up problems, but generally speaking, you don't know that you didn't have a TV. You didn't know you didn't have Pop-Tarts. You didn't know that you didn't have a bike. You didn't know whatever you didn't know. That's just how it was. Right. So I think then, it was strict, but again, no abuse, nothing like that. Great, loving people, just as I'm sure you get the faith side, however people interpret what God wants. Right. So, but now looking at it as an adult, I'm still a person of deep faith, a Christian, but man, C-Roc, as you can see, I'm more of a chill person, like telling my son, my kids, we have some road guides, some bumpers on the road for sure, as any parent should, but it's more like, okay, you want to drink, I don't know, 10 gallons of soda and you're of age, knock yourself out, go for it. You'll just get really sick. So I definitely have a little more chill aspect. And the second thing I'll share, let me know if this is appropriate, meaning I want to flow with the show here, but I think that my father, old school, loving man, but just wasn't a huggy, kissy guy. Me, I'm like, okay, everybody, let's bring it in. And I got my wife and my daughter live with me. They're like, Dad, we got to go that close. I'm like, let's go chest to chest. Let's bring it in. So that's the kind of dad I am today.
I love that too. I mean, I'm a hugger, man. I don't know why. I guess my mom she's a very loving person and always hugging and kissing on me. And that means a lot to me. I think you could transfer energy that way, and I always want my kids. I have 2 kids and I want them to feel loved. I don't want them to ever feel like they didn't have that, but I like that you're like that.
It could be, I just want to add, it could be generational. I can't paint a picture for everybody, but it seems to be parents that may have grown up in the 60s, 50s, 40s, whatever. If my math is off, forgive me, but that not everybody, but could have been a little more tough and rustic and hard work, especially the men. We don't cry and show love and, hey, bud, pat you on the butt, I love you. I don't think many dads, some did, but from hearing, many didn't. Seems like we fathers and others were more into all that mushy fans will talking. I'm a girl dad.
And it was awesome to get to meet you up in New York. I'm trying to. I don't know if you're going to Kentucky or not.
I will be going. Yeah.
So I'm on the fence right now because I have so much travel going on, and I'm trying to be that good father and husband too, and make sure that I don't travel too much. So I have to pick and choose my spots.
Yes.
So I may or may not be there, but it was awesome to get to meet you in New York. And but so growing up in that and having the beliefs of our parents placed in our minds first, that's where it starts. And then we go from there, and we have to figure our way through of whether we want to stick. And I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm just talking about beliefs in general. We have to stick with those beliefs, or we have to find our way. Sometimes you feel guilty, like going off of that belief system. Can you talk about a little bit about that experience for yourself as you were growing up into adulthood, finding your own way and shaping your own belief system?
Absolutely. And by the way, C-Roc, if you send me a C-Roc hat and you can't go, I will wear that hat and kind of be you there if you want to do that. Okay, challenge. So if you can't go,
thank
you FedEx that to me. I'll kind of
have to see how fast I can get that.
Yeah, I'll give it a cameo experience. But it was interesting. So I went, so again, respecting faiths or non-faiths, but for the point being of going away. So I went away from the faith of my father, as it were, my father and mother for some time. And I think part of that, because in fairness, it wasn't mine, right? You grew up in a family and they say everybody should drink water. If you're not into drinking water when you get of age, nothing bad, no shade, you're going to stop drinking water until you get the second transformation, because the first transformation is leaving. Second transformation is in believing something that's important to you, whatever it is. You may choose to believe what they believe, or you may say, no, I'm making a decision. It's not for me at all. And then believe what you want. So in my case, my father passed away when he was, let's call it premature. When he's in his 50s, he died of some things. And after that, I had my son with me. I can't remember how he was. That was 20 something years ago. Yeah. So my son was 6 or 7. And I had to think, okay, my dad's not here. Or rather, my dad's not here. And it just kind of hit me, C-Roc, that what do I really believe? I wasn't a grown man, an adult, but meaning sometimes hard times give you that space to think. So my point being, and then I had to think, what do I do? What do I do during this time? And let me edit something, C-Roc. Not my dad died. My son left our house. Sorry about that. My son left our house as an adult. He went away from the faith. That got me thinking. So sorry about that. That got me thinking when he wasn't there anymore. What do I believe now? So sorry about that. So that was the catalyst for me when he left the household in a good way. It just seems like, Dad, I'm older. I want to do some things. I had to think, what am I? And my point being, C-Roc, that brought me back after I had that slap in the face. What do I believe?
Yeah. No, I love that. So I've been through this thing where I don't know how old you are. I'm guessing similar somewhere
Yes,
around.
if you want. I'm almost 50.
Okay, so I'm 44. So
Okay,
I don't know
48.
if the time frame was the same, but in the last 3 to 4 years, I've gone through the transformation,
Yes.
and it's wild because I when I first started going through it and I opened my eyes to learning and seeking knowledge and answers and truth, I started to be upset with myself for allowing myself not to do this earlier. And I had to get over that, obviously, because it's not a good thing. Um, and I realized my window is shorter to impact. I didn't have the mission that I have now. And I wish I would have had it like, man, why couldn't I have done it when I had more energy and more time? And so now I move urgently, more faster to squeeze more in smaller times. I don't know. Did you experience that as well?
C-Roc, I feel, well, I'm talking to my brother, but I feel like now I really am. Everything you just said, I'm echoing. Maybe it's a 40-year thing. Maybe you and I are just simpatico. I don't know. But yes, the same thing you said. So one, I wake up every morning, I got to whisper because my wife hates when I say it. I'm teasing. She's far away, but I wake up every day saying, Ronnie, my wife's name, I'm going to die in 40 to 50 years, give it a take, or I'll get hit by a bus. She says, stop talking that way. I'm like, Ronnie, it's a fact. So that's one. I get, if that's similar to what you're saying, I wake up with a clock. It's today.
Yeah.
It's X o'clock on X date. I'm talking to C-Roc. Who have I impacted? Who can I help today? Really? And then, as you said, the second thing, even my finances. So I've started 4 companies, sold 2 companies. You've had quite a bit of success, I know as well. But I must say, C-Roc, and I tell people openly, a lot of that was started with credit cards, taking nothing away from me. I started companies and I did sell and been blessed. It's just now reading, maybe also Mike McCallum with Profit First and others like that. Reading those things, I'm now, wow, I'm behind the 8 ball in building financial wealth, building legacy. So yeah, I empathize with you. And I'm curious if I may ask you, the host, but can I ask you a question?
Yeah, no, too? Absolutely.
Good. Sometimes with me, sometimes I kick myself and like, man, like I just heard our mutual friend Scott Simons talking about, well, I've been saving money since I was like 2 years old. And I'm like, dang, I haven't been doing that. But then I'm like, it's my journey. So I'm curious, do you ever, at the same time you kick yourself, you're like, it's okay.
Like one thing, you got to be thankful and grateful for where you are. Because look, I got to say, like from us to our parents and our grandparents, life is easier. Let's face it. I mean, they had it tough compared to what we have. But yeah, I mean, I think to myself, like I could have been so much further along, and and it's not that difficult of info. It's stuff that, but I just didn't realize why. I think when I was told the things, I was more preached at and told you should do this, you should do that, and not really the emotions of what it would feel like to be financially free, the emotions and everything wasn't really painted to me. Correct. Now I got to take responsibility, the fact that I didn't listen. Mm-hmm. But I think that we need to paint the picture better to the youth and let them know why. And the fact that, telling our story for what we went through. And if we would have just did this, we would be here. And, my son has an opportunity right now to be in tech. He's 15 years old. Okay. And we have this 10X incubator with Grant Cardone that we launched. And we're looking for co-founders of all ages. And we actually have a program for them to learn from to become a tech co-founder. And he has this opportunity right now. And I present it to him, and I'm not pushing on him, present it to him. Hey man, you have an opportunity to like do whatever you want. You know what I mean? And we have and it's just not something he's like grabbing onto. And it's like, man,
I bet inside it is a bit grabbing you a bit, right? It's like,
you have to, but it's one of them things, man. So talk about selling companies, starting with selling companies, and what made you one, I guess, at some point decide to sell the company you had?
Sure. So a lot of my starting companies, I think for some reason, C-Roc, and I believe I have it to this day, and you can help me say this even better. I believe some are professional startup people, entrepreneurs. They have the vision for scaling, going big. That's not quite me. I just like doing projects, doing stuff. So slight difference, if that makes sense. And it so happens I've been blessed 2 times. I hope I have a third time, a little smarter than the first 2, but 2 times by building something that somebody else saw value. So I've started 4 companies. One was a small technology consulting company, just me, just doing some Microsoft Access. Anybody shout out Microsoft Access and Microsoft front page and all that back in the day. I dissolved that company, started over 20 years ago when I was younger. As I said, I'm almost 50 now, so in my early 20s, I think, as I recall. Then the second company was smallbiztechnology.com, online blog. The domain C-Roc I got in April 1999. I sold it a year ago. So that was 20 years to the date. And then I had an event business, which I sold to a blogger. So my point being is that I believe I sold these because serendipitously, talking to someone like you or other people in a network, you say one thing and wait, Ramon, wait, you said what? You have a blog? Are you looking for somebody to buy it? You know what, dude? I'm interested. That's how it happened. I wasn't really like seeking and going to some selling.com event or something, but mutual friends.
And what's the value in a blog would be the audience and the content that's on there. Those two things. Okay.
For the blog, it was the content and the domain authority. In fairness, it's not like you're selling widgets. It's digital stuff. So somebody else said, hey, Ramon has traffic. Ramon has a domain. I can easily put this into my existing system, lower the cost, and we can keep printing money.
Yeah. And then so on the journey, when you started those businesses and like the blog, for example, on the journey, you had a vision, you executed on the vision. And as you were starting off in the beginning, how long did it take you to get traction?
Yeah, I like that word. Yeah, it took a while. Each one was different. So the first, I'll talk about the event business because that I did with a partner. And I say that those who can't see me, I happen to be a black guy. But the reason why I think it's funny, so please laugh at me, people. She was this old gray-haired white lady, and I was this skinny black dude. So we just made she was a very cautious accounting type. I'm like, Marion, I'm gonna put my credit card down due. Oh, Ramon, let's wait. Let's run the numbers. What numbers? But it was a great combination. I brought the sizzle, the marketing, the showmanship. She was like, wait. We need chairs, Ramon. I'm like, oh, that's right. We should have chairs at an event, shouldn't we, Marion? So we brought good thing. But yeah, I think the traction started definitely for the event business, probably the third year. I did the event about 10 years in a row. And I think it was the third year when we stopped losing money, got a bit smarter. And it's kind of like priming a pump. And I'm sure you know these things, like you first do it, nobody cares. Second time you do it, you're kind of faking it a bit more. Third time, the people you really want are like, oh, okay. And
they know you're serious. They see that you're serious, right? Yeah, you're committed. Exactly. I think, and I've seen this over and over again too, with the bigger people that have had success, they understand what it took to get where they are. And they know there's going to be people coming and going, trying things. But the real committed people that stay there, like that annoying bug that just is there, you got to take this thing seriously now. Yeah. And that's what people look for that have made it. They look for people that are consistent. Yeah. And so during that time though, what did you do for money? Like, did you make enough money to live off of that, or did you have some other flow?
Great question. Yeah. So I had many of these businesses I started with side hustles. I was working full-time at the United Nations until I got fired. So a lot of my business were in my mind, it was full-time. And that's probably why I got fired, because I gave everything to it. But my 9 to 5, I was very distracted, but I was at the UN in a cubicle. And I must say, I shouldn't poo-hoo it. I learned a lot, C-Roc. It was with good people. Where else can you see, the president, I think at the time, would have been the 2 George Bushes, Hamid Karzai of Afghanistan at the time, right? That was the time when Colin Powell was there. So it was good learning, but man, my passion wasn't there. So yeah, the income was coming from full-time United Nations income until, because of my ventures and my side hustles, they fired me. And that thrust me into full-time entrepreneurship. So no more could I be like, oh, sure, C-Roc, I'll fly to your house for free, or I'll go here. No. Where's the money coming from?
Yeah. Gotcha. All right. So I'm asking questions I know my audience would have. Sure. So now let me ask you this. What are you doing now?
Sure.
And how did you get into what you're doing now?
Sure. Today, my 4th company is Smart Hustle Media, and I have 3 revenue streams. If it's helpful for others, especially listening or learning. But one is I'm a full-time speaker, so I'm paid to go entertain or speak, host events. And I say that clearly because some people, I know C-Roc, but like, okay, what do you really do? Stop. A large part of my income is large tech brands. That's primary audience and others saying, Ramon, we'll pay you to be on our stage or on our Zoom and host it. So that's one. Second is those similar brands, we have a marketing agency. So the large tech brands, Oracle, Verizon, Microsoft, companies like that are our clients. They pay us money to produce content and share that to our small business audience, second revenue stream. And then third, we're getting into C-Roc. I haven't done it much. I should probably hit you up on fact. We'll do stuff together, is creating content for my community. People think, oh, Ramon, you must be a consultant. You must, sell something to small businesses. I don't. It's ironic. I have a large following of them, but my money comes from the large tech brands who pay me to reach them, if that makes sense. Yep.
That makes sense. Now, but how did you get into that? Like, how did you come up with the idea to do that?
Sure. So while I was doing smallbiztechnology.com, which is the blog I started, the second company I sold last year. So I know blogging and content, and I've been in that space for years. That's my forte, not mindset. I'm not diversity inclusion. I'm a blogger, a content guy. Gotcha. So I had that company, but I was just tired, C-Roc. We talk about tech, and I know today we talk about AI and Bitcoin and crypto. But when I was doing small biz technology, imagine a vendor saying, oh, Ramon, we have a new printer. It prints 2 pages more per minute. Oh, Ramon, check out the new mouse. I just got very bored of that C-Roc.
Right.
Because for small businesses, I think for most of us, the tech we use is boring. Meaning, you have your finances, you have your marketing, have your CRM. We're not getting into AI programming, the smallest of us. So you get my point. So my point being, so I got into it because I wanted to shift and do this stuff more. So I bought a domain, bought it on my credit card. I think the domain Smart Hustle C-Roc, as I remember, 7,000 to 15,000, something like that. I paid for it through an escrow account, paid some guy, I think in Sweden, he owned it, and that launched Smart Hustle. And so it's kind of taking the brand, the aura that Ramon still had over the last 20 years, but I shifted it. It took me a few years to get rid of I'm the small business technologist to being I'm the smart hustler, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And what was your first gig with a big tech company? Do you remember?
Yeah, probably the first one ever, and this was not even this, still with small biz, was Inc. magazine had a gig, and UPS was their client. They needed someone to interview UPS. They're like, Ramon, we'll give you a free ticket to Inc. Inc. 500 or Inc. 5,000 now, but Inc. 500. Can you come? So I probably was paid an honorarium, maybe not, but that was my first taste. Oh, brands. And I can't say from there it's history, but once you produce enough good content, as you do, people see it. So that started me having brands say, hey, Ramon, we see you have this content. Can we pay you to do this, or can you speak? And one other thing was Black Enterprise and Inc. magazine also paid me to write for them, C-Roc. And what was interesting, they said, Ramon, back then, 15, 20 years ago, whatever it may have been, we'll pay you $1 per word. I told my wife, $1 per word? That's stupid. And then they're like, can you write 2,000 words? I'm like, wait, stop. You pay somebody $2,000 to write this? I'm like, okay. So that opened my eyes to this more side to this world of content and monetization.
Yeah. Like some of these big companies, man, they like the money they spend is like, it would blow our minds, right? Exactly. Like I'll pay the 100,000 there. And it's like, it's just like a write-off, like not just a tax write-off, but just,
I got you.
No, I love that. And I wanted to ask you another thing about that for a second. I had to just slip my mind. Shoot.
I know it floated like it went just.
Because I'll be honest, like, and I'm transparent. When I'm podcasting with people, I'm paying attention, man. Yes. I'm into it. And then when you stop, sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, I'm the host.
I got you.
So, and I've been doing this for a while, but anyway.
I can give some tips or insights if you want. I can riff some more if you like.
No, man, no, it's great. I'm still thinking about what you just said. So I'm just like, I appreciate it. So then from there you did the Smart Hustle, and then you have the content, and then you have the big tech and all that. And then I was going to tell you something. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. So when I first started my podcast and I started writing my book, I had Tim Story. I ran into him in Vegas. And I said, man, I'd love to have you on my show. He said, sure, hit me up. And at that time, I was just starting out, and I wasn't afraid to ask people, but I was blown away that Tim Story said yes. I'm like, oh, okay. And Grant said yes, and some other people and then it just gave me that confidence boost. But Tim told me, because I'm very impatient to where I know, like I have this clear vision of where I'm going. Like I know already. Other people don't know. They got to get on board. I got to figure that stuff out. I already know it's there.
Tim was like, the train's leaving. You need to swim and get or jump in the water to catch up to me.
Well, no, it's a rocket ship. So anyway, but the thing is that since I know that already in my mind, I'm like, why am I not there yet? Like, let's go. So I had this conversation with Tim about patience. Yes. And he said, listen, he said, you just keep doing what you're doing, building the content like you're talking about, and we will come find you. Yes. You won't have to look, like you don't have to go out and hunt. We will come find you. And darn if it wasn't true. The great Les Brown, he's scheduled to come on. I didn't even have to reach out to Les. Somebody reached out to me about Les. Our friend Devin, Devin Rodriguez, I think he reached out to me. And then from there, Amelia, our friend Amelia, reached out, and she's like, she came on, and then she's like, Solomon Ali would love to, be on your show. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm just C-Roc. I'm the guy that just had this little mortgage, so my point is that belief and then consistency, and then people will come find you because they know that you're serious and you ain't going nowhere. Right. And I love that you said that. So you're right, what is something in the future that you have your sights on or targeted that's lighting you up every day?
Yeah. I think there's two things. I think one, right now I'm in the journey I'm out of survival mode by God's grace, and I'm in the journey to build more wealth for today, legacy for my family, my retirement. I'll never do, but retirement, they call it in America, and giving more money away. That's one bucket. But next thing tactically, I'd like a TV show. And then I'm done. Not done with life, but like Ramon has no more goals, meaning anybody I want to reach, I've reached. I'm not trying to meet the Kardashians. I know Seth Godin. I don't need to reach, Dalai Lama. I've interviewed President Obama. So that kind of feather in the cap stuff, I'm blessed, and that itch is done. But a TV show, and I'm almost there, C-Roc, I'll tell you, I was reached out by one of the 3-letter networks to do a show on their OTT. So meaning not where your grandmama can click the remote, but those who have smart TVs and apps, but it's still connected to that brand, if you feel what I mean.
Imagine no, I know. Yeah.
When that happens, that'll be a step. If I prove myself, like you said, and they found me, to your point, when I prove myself to them, the next big dog in the big network, they're probably looking at the OTT stuff, and they'll say, "Ooh, let's take this talent out. We got to get this guy. We got to get this guy." Yeah. Well, it's already happened as far as my mind goes. I don't know if you're that as certain as I am, but I know that it's already happening for you. And I'm here with you.
Yeah. And what's the show going to be about, if you can talk about it, or theme?
Yeah, no, I can't. They said, actually, it's whatever I want, but it's going to be entertainment. And if you heard any of my segments on A Breakfast with Champions, kind of a top 10, I think for me, I'm just not, like you mentioned Tim Story, right? Wonderful guy. So I'm saying this in love and teasing. I'm not like the deep, introspective, hey, C-Roc, let's look at our minds and Dalai Lama and, who's the other savants. And that's just not me. I'm like, hey, mortgage rates are going up. Airline miles are coming back. You can lose weight. Here's 3 things. That's just me. I love it. Well, look, man, I want to thank you for coming on the show and lighting it up with us. You did that, and I really appreciate it. And just so you know, once you're in my world, in my environment, I'll do anything for you. So if you need anything I can help you with, I don't know what that is right now, but just all you got to do is reach out, and I'm yours, brother. I appreciate it. Likewise, C-Roc. Thanks for having me here in C-Roc community. Love y'all. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you, Ramon. You guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, the unstoppable Mike C-Roc, with the unstoppable, I will say, Ramon. And he is on a mission. He's going to have a TV show. Watch out for it. And we will definitely do some kind of project together here in the future. I know that for sure. But thank you for listening. Till next time, be unstoppable.